Má tá tú ag obair le roiint blianta nuas and you keep saying to yourself you'll go back to the study someday, well, this could be your sign.
Tá raibh na solúpa ag ollscoil bháinúid de iarcéimena atá postanna agus scéalta go nócha acu.
For masters and postgraduate diplomas, there are short and subsidised courses available. Full or part-time is féidir an rá as far the I'm sure.
Agus the mass na rana sin tá mástruach sa nua Gaeilge.
You. So maybe you want to upskill, move into leadership, or finally pursue what you're passionate about.
There are real practical pathways in Maynooth University and scholarship opportunities too.
So make fefe shade the year, you stop putting it off and commit to your full potential.
Is féidir the spatial léirú ag mu.ie/Gael.
Hello, Cordia, agus fáilte go how to Gael na seachtainna lumsa Louise.
Agus lumsa Darren, you look as sweet as sugar over there now and Colleen is far so wrong.
Well, sin me se. Come here, chuirtachas there an danu at chuirta chud gurga. You've never looked as bright.
I feel like there's been an exorcism performed and all of my negative energy was bleached out of my aura once they've put the blonde back in. I swear to Jesus.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is now? It's the blonde and I also put on a lick of tan. And I tried it, lads. Ros Purcell came in here and she was fucking glowing. And I was like, oh, maybe I could do the no tan. Maybe I could do it. I was like, why am I spending all this money, whatever? And do you know what? No. Sometimes you just have to accept that you need to work a little bit harder to look good and it's worth it.
Girl, Cade, Fawn Gade, there is no doubt about it. A fresh head of blonde highlights. It's better than any therapy.
I'm 100% honest to God,
the pep in your step after
unbelievable. No, never underestimate it. I feel like, you know, someone who has a drug issue is always trying to like chase the first high. They always talk about that when they're recovering from their addiction. That is me with the blonde.
It's an addiction.
It is an addiction. It is an addiction.
And the bother is you go through phases. I feel it's spits and peaks. You're like blonde blind.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm back on track as well with the glacadh fiosrú, and like this is very you coded actually. He was like, right, so we'll aim to be back blonde by Paddy's Day. I was like,
perfect.
Nach das. Which is actually Gaheven doing that because we've got a big old tour coming up, Darren.
Well, nach unta chun rud tá mí dul an móthir aríis a tosnú leis an tatan se chuing tá roiinte céad ag fácha go fóil a ggur our show more Brigid Festival Cunta Kildare. So there you go now. Come all ye Kildare Fenians and come and see us at the Brigid Festival. Tá mí dul go mór sin.
Yeah, táimid. And I really feel like Willem Shig Mohu go Loidir Mlíana that the first of February, 2nd of February can't come fast enough. I'm ready to be over January now. I feel like this darkness and all of that crack, I'm kind of ready to drive it in the year of the horse. I love the Chinese New Year. It's around the end of February. Having spent my time, Sachin, agus Imliana, you know this, it's the year of the horse.
Yeah, but you know, you miss a chat GPT because obviously Rugach Mishugs Louise Sabine Kana and year of the horse, not a great year for us. It's a mediocre year for us.
Not bad for the rooster.
No. But no, apparently, well, now I
think we're the third best animal for the horse.
Really?
Yeah, no, Tosh. It's the rat that really struggles.
Okay.
It's Doilem, actually.
So for Owen O'Cahan, if he Owen O'Cahan Saharas and Sunladeni, and he looked this up, and apparently it's a really bad year for him. And then Dech Masos and like Lean Chicken, like on Corla, a four mission Mialler, the year of the horse was Nodin and Kinty Mora, because horses love to charge into a situation, whereas be more meditative and methodative.
Yeah.
Is that a word? I don't know. Mialler on na Kintig and anything. But anyway, there you go. But sure, listen, we'll be raring and tearing into 2026 because we've loads of other tour dates. Choma, the Legally Trust, which is aptly named after mine and Louise's matching tattoos.
And also I was going to say our new heads of hair, if we're not shining bright like a full moon,
there you go.
I want to be Aaron Thrust in a curb. No, Táimid, and this is really exciting because it's kind of a small little intimate take on a tour, and these shows have been really crafted to be intimate. So if you're part of this audience, it's different, not ein rodella tá déanta going riamh. So it's a little more interactive, and it's also going to be scéalta and in venues that we have chosen for a reason.
Yes, well, Tommy Dugady Paris, which is unexciting, and Fihulada Fiara. So if you're a Paris girl, we want to see you in your beret, CCI and Fihulada Fiara. And then we're going to be checking onto a cheap Ryanair flight. We haven't booked flights yet, but we probably will get the cheap Ryanair flights. And Tommy Dugady, London.
Now I'm excited more because I feel like we're going to have an Ihe Moramach in Boris. We're going to have a little Ihe Moramach in London, and I'm like, we're on our little Euro trip. It's like
Euro
interrailing.
country, baby.
Yeah.
Euro. Yeah, no, that could do it. We'll have to come up with our own little version of the Euro country. What do you think?
Or like, you know, in Chin from Paris to Berlin. Can we just like
Yeah.
Squish Berlin?
Oh, Paris, go London, and every disco I've been in. Yeah, no, let's workshop that.
Love.
We'll workshop that. Took me to National Gashin. Now, of course, my favourite city, the whole lot of them after Baile Lia.
Yeah.
Cahar Kirkley. I'll tell you,
Cushley.
burnt by the Tans in 1920 and resurrected for 2026.
When we're coming to Cork now, lads, we are not playing because we're coming all guns blazing. And Nurig, ní chuoinm reach came fall, but we didn't get to go for a full leaf-fledged night out at Cork.
Yes.
But Liana, we're out.
We're out. We're out.
I scoped out via sound Ladini actually ag Taffadrad, and I've scoped out a few good spots for us during.
Oh, good woman.
Yeah. Áit na das like Ladol, you know, for like the pre-match cocktail. Agus an sin and like, you know, na joch and a cart.
Well, do you know what? I went for 4 pints. Didn't manage Scéal show our Patreon, but I had 4 pints of Beamish last week, and they had me in the horrors. And I was like, I'm going to give up Beamish, but actually, I'll hold off now till we get to Cork and see if that, you know, reignites a love in Beamish for me. We'll see. What do you think? I feel like Beamish I could be in my Beamish here. No, Guinness is Jacker Buchanter and Guinness like that. A goni de hasta.
I'm gone off the pints again.
Are you? Oh yeah,
got
do
back
it,
on the
Hannah.
skinny bitches, yeah.
Well, sure. Listen, you'll be drinking skinny bitches so all night long in Blacklia.
Beg me, because we are a Rasharish Malachlia, and one of the nicest and coolest venues I think to do a live show in the Ambassador Theatre. We're going to be there on Easter Sunday. Please get a ticket and come along, because I feel like just it's beautiful. Little bit of a coincidence that it's happening, or you know, down at Cosca Chuma.
And it's 110 years. This Easter Sunday will be 110 years since the Easter Rising. So, listen, howl at the moon with us. Our Friday Hunnel are down at Cosca, big Alice Sporttown.
There's no street I'd rather be atop of.
Now
on Easter Sunday. Oh my God, you can sing that beautiful song your nanny used to sing.
Oh, there you go.
The moon shone down.
The moon shone down O'Connell Street. I stood alone where brave men perished. If you want to hear the rest of the song, you have to come to the show.
Do, but Ciannig ticket Danny thought take 80 year fall for her, and honestly we'd love for you to come out and be part of the How To Gael party in Liana.
Yes.
4 live dates.
4 live dates and lots 4 mad nights out, because do you know what, now the two of us have really calmed down meander, and I this is another thing. I feel like every single night out I went out on tionchar and it was out all the time, but now to my Geary Venice, like just Nís cliste meallar na hí hin go beocum le dulmach.
Selective girl.
Oh girl, absolutely.
And intentional. That's what the year of the horse was telling me to be.
One night out a week, you know, is more than enough. You know, and I also want to give myself one weekend a month that I'm not going out, because that'd be great. I couldn't get over myself. Do you know what I did yesterday? I went to the Phibsborough Flea Market, right? Mooched around there, so gorgeous, nice. Then had a little coffee. Then at 1:45, went into the wine bar. We had a beautiful bottle of wine between 3 of us, €20.
Ooh,
fucking gorgeous, right?
Okay, no, come on.
Fion in Phibsborough, and then scooted off back Gadeen Tig. Did a few little bits like this. Now what would usually happen to me is I'd have 2.5 glasses of a lovely glass of wine, and next thing I'd have another 2.5 on top of it, and then I go to another pub, and we'd be out for the night, and then I'd be in the horrors on Monday. 2.5 glasses, a little bit of a charcuterie board, Savala, put on another load of washing, read my book for a while. I was in bed by 9:30.
Yeah, nach das.
You see,
yeah.
So that's also it's not getting caught up in the crack.
But by God, the nights we'll be getting caught up in the crack will be our nights out with you guys.
Woo!
So do, and like, if you've bought a ticket as well, write to us, because we want to know the crack and like make a bit of a plan to attack the night out as well. Come on.
Yes, tour multi doing. If you're Paris, New Berlin, New Berlin, New London, Gurmaleshka, Paris, New London, get in touch and let us know where should we be setting up shop.
Yeah, because our gig is going to be like early enough in Soho. So do we go for a cute little brunchy lunch somewhere?
Oh, good.
Or do we go like, you know, because we have a nice run at the day. I love this. We have an early night. Like, we're definitely going out on Friday the 13th in London.
Yes, we're probably the next night as well.
And like, is it heels or flats? It's
no, I feel like the London girls are too cool. The London girls are cool girls. You know, they're not going in heels.
Well, from a cool Limerick girl.
I know. Look, to be debated. Be a dag walling and you tell us.
Please comment, DM, email howtogael@gmail.com and give us all your little multi because Misha Erbí anyway, Misha Xul Gomorla.
Okay, good one.
Okay. Freshen, Mas Míle Taku Lenar Bod Crela. You can also subscribe on Patreon, where sure we're dishing all the dirt, Mars Gana, and we're telling stories like this.
Vomited in the car.
Oh.
Brand new lovely car. I vomited in my brand new lovely car. And then I was like, and I always have dog poo bags in my pockets because obviously I'm walking dogs all the time. So then I pulled out a dog poo bag and I got sick into it. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Stop.
Now Louise has been ripping it into. Sorry, I love these pointy boots. So now somebody just told me that our E, Ruth Medjber, right?
Yeah.
She's our E this week, and she told me that she thought I looked very European in my beautiful new boots, which I love, and I've been wearing them every single day. But Louise told me I look like Professor McGonagall.
From the ankles down. And Professor McGonagall had a great taste in shoes. She was able to hop up and down on that broom and turn into a cat. Like I've never seen any witch do before. So I'll not have a bad word said about McGonagall. Now, Lanham with your great.
Right, Ina Shachten is so go on.
Well, you could have been like, I could have called you a way worse witch. No, do you know
As
what?
far as witches go.
I don't know if I'm taking now, but if I was right, Savonskull, and I was to get a pen and paper, like a little pencil, and I was to draw a witch, okay? They're the boots I would draw on my witch. And then I'd give her 2 stick legs with the pencil. I'd draw a little black triangle dress on her and put a little hat on her. Do you know what I mean? Like a
No, but can I just say, there are sexy witches. There's like the fucking, what about Practical Magic? Nicole Kidman and the other one, what's her name?
Oh, she's not. Is she a sexy witch? Is it
They're witches and they're hot.
a sexy witch?
Sandra Bullock, she's the other one. Now, like they're cool vibey witches. Sorry, what about the old witch from Ranelagh that you lumped in with another time?
She was in Great Nick.
She was a hot witch.
She was a hot.
She was a hot witch.
She was a hot witch.
If you were a witch, get in touch because we would love to talk to a real witch.
Oh my God, lead the hull actually, and send us a picture of your shoes. Maybe that's on another app. Neil Kylach Lynn on Tachtan Shaw, but we can do one better. Tá ngrianghrafadóir Lynn, and she's more than just a ngrianghrafadóir. She is a phenomenal human with a great story to tell, and I tell you, she's mates with all the high flyers.
Táimid Anna Hosla will Ruth Medjber because she's obviously very talented photographer, but all around very sound woman, very cool fucking bitch, you know.
Now, put that in your pipe.
Yes, now the new bio. Cool bitch, sound woman, deadly photographer.
Thank you. Ruth, you were the first person to take a cover photo shoot of the How to Gael.
The first and
podcast
only.
gals.
The first and only.
Actually.
I'm shocked at that now. I thought you would have racked up a few more covers since then.
Well, has it been a year?
It has been a year, I'd say.
Yes.
People are just afraid to touch it because it was so good.
Wow.
That's it. They just
exactly.
don't. Yeah.
You know, they have that framed now in the Cobblestone, which is really cute.
Do they really? Oh my
yeah.
God, that's adorable.
I know, it's really cute. Yeah,
I love
yeah. I
that.
know, they're the lads in the Cobblestone are my like childhood besties. So yeah, it's really cute. They have it up in the corner where we took the shoot where the Gaeltach sign is. I know, it's very
Darling.
cute.
Oh, that's
Forever
amazing.
immortalised.
So every time you're having a pint, you're like, cheers, mate.
There you go.
There's
There
a
you
picture of me hanging up in Whelan's and it's my little claim to fame.
Oh,
very
just like,
cute.
oh, there's me. They spelt my name wrong though, but whatever.
But sure, listen, you must be used to seeing your pictures all over the world because, okay, take How to Gael out of the equation just for a second, but there's been some massive superstars. You know,
Darren and then there
Yeah.
was Louise.
Exactly. Well, Ruth, before you start name dropping the really big A-listers, right? Have you ever done a photo shoot with anyone else in the scaldy bathrooms? Like you had us
Yeah,
up on the
yeah,
thing
yeah.
standing on toilets.
Yeah, but did you mind it? It looked class.
Oh no, it looked deadly. We loved
Do you know
it.
what? I'm a devil for bringing people into bathrooms.
Are you?
Yeah, I love it.
Gas.
Because bathrooms,
Their
they're
photographs are just in life.
both.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just enjoy ourselves here.
Yeah, the girls'
No, I
bathroom.
do. I bring people into bathrooms because bathrooms, like, they always have these really nice, colourful tiles if they are, or if you're going down the graffiti wise, if you want to go scaldy.
Yes.
Like, and it's just, I can light them right. Do you know?
Yeah, you're
it's
right.
Nice. They're overlooked spaces in society.
You're dead right.
Many a great event or occasion has occurred in a bathroom.
Yeah.
You're, absolutely.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Every rom-com, like there's a lot of people
Yeah.
being dragged into bathrooms, people looking at pregnancy tests. You know, that's
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Who is the most famous person you've ever been in a bathroom with?
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh my God, you've put me on the spot now, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I've been to a lot of like awards shows and stuff with like me as like a photographer, and then I end up in the bathroom with like famous singers and stuff. So I've been in the bathroom with Adele.
Go on.
Yeah, years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
I think it was, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I was in the bathroom with Adele and I just said nothing.
Oh my
What
God.
do you say? Like?
I know. Yeah.
What was she doing?
Just went to the loo, washed her hands and legged it. Like,
She had a line of cocaine in the
yeah,
toilet.
it's like,
That's what she was doing.
did you want a number there?
Yeah.
I just feel like she'd be like slicking her hair into a high ponytail, being like bitching about
She
a
was
fella.
chatting to someone, all right,
Yeah.
and then they just scarpered, and I was like still washing my hands, going, "Oh my God, that's Adele, that's Adele."
Oh my
that's Adele."
God.
That was cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. But listen, before you got to the bathrooms with the likes of Adele, there was you discovered a passion for photography. You're young and grown up in Dublin. Talk to us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, that was me. I was always a photographer when I was a kid. Do you know what I mean? Fascinated with like dark rooms and stuff. I was like, oh my God, this is witchcraft. Loved it. Absolutely obsessed. And then I got into music like most people do when I was in my teens. Was hanging around Central Bank, little goth girl, you know.
Were you?
Yeah, of course.
I can see that with the dark hair.
Yeah, you know, chunky eyeliner, platform boots. I was really, really into it. Like, I was cool. I was about 14. Started going to these all ages gigs. They were called Blast, right? And it was run by this dude. And he used to come around to Central Bank. I go, just want to come to a gig. Just want to come to a gig. And he said to me, he's like, can you talk? And I was like, yeah, pretty much so. And he's like, right, you're the MC. So I ended up being the MC of these gigs and doing like tours around Ireland. But there was a photographer that would come in every Saturday morning, and I was looking at him going, what are you? He's like, I'm a music photographer. And I was like, what?
Cool.
You can be a music photographer? I never put the two of them together. I was like, I can be a music photographer. So then I had tunnel vision after that. I was like, I want to be a music photographer. It's the only thing I want to do in life. Oh my God. And I became ultra obsessed, which I now know is hyperfocus ADHD. Didn't have that language back then. But I just like, okay, let's be a music photographer. Went to college, got a degree in photography. Don't recommend it if you want to be a music photographer. Started working in Hot Press, started working in NME, always had my studio on the go, doing portraits of like Irish bands and musicians and that kind of stuff. And then I went on tours. I got hired. My first big international tour with like tour buses and all that was Arcade Fire. And that was a real eye-opener into like arenas and, you know, that kind of level of touring and responsibility and everything.
How did you get that?
That was, I'd like to say it was fluky, but it wasn't really. I got a random email from like a Gmail account, this like woman at gmail.com going, hey, I'm working for Arcade Fire. We have a show in a couple of days in Dublin. We're looking for someone to do AAA. And I was like, bullshit. It's like, I don't, because like it's very rare for the artist to like Gmail you, you know what I mean? So I kind of had to like fact check it a bit, and I was like, oh my God, this person's actually legit. And I was like, yeah, cool, I'll do it. And it turned out my name was bandied around in a bar in New York with other Irish celebrity big musician people.
Sorry, excuse me.
I know, it's wild. I'd just done a gig where I was doing backstage photography for, I think it was like BIM or something, and one of the speakers was The Edge, and I took this lovely portrait of The Edge where he was waiting to go on, and I think he put my name forward or something.
Amazing.
And it just came up in conversation, so they were like, yeah, cool, you sound good. And then from that, then I did the show. It was so weird joining Arcade Fire like for one night, because I was like, this is bananas. They were doing this show that was in the round, they call it. So there's no kind of backstage. The stage is a boxing ring in the middle of the arena. So there's no way for the band to get on and off stage except for going through the crowd, because the crowd is all around the boxing ring.
Yeah.
And so the creative director was trying to tell me this. It's like, okay, so the band are going to walk in like boxing procession onto the ring. We want you in the middle of them. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, put this jacket on. Put this jacket on. It's like this. They gave me a tour jacket, and they're like, go in between Win and Regine, the couple. And I was like, what? It's like, all right. So I switched to a wide lens, and I was like walking out with the band. I was like, this is mad. And like walking through the crowd, and the gig was so intense. There's 9 people on stage. It's a boxing ring. There's like ropes, and the boxing ring bloody rotates. So it was like the most awkward thing to shoot. It was highly pressurized. It was the first night of the tour. I haven't seen any example pictures. I don't know how it's going to look. I don't even know where to put myself because it's so tight in the space around it. It was a nightmare, but I had fun. And then afterwards, I was like, kind of just came back. All the band all sing and dance procession on the way back, and then everyone dances in the corridor, and I'm like, woo!
And what age were you?
I was old.
Oh, you're old. Okay.
I was like 30, and I was like, oh, this is my first kind of thing. I worked my way up till there, but like I was like, this is wild. And so I was like dancing in the hall with them, and then Wynne goes, the lead singer, was just like, hey, we're gonna go for drinks with like you two and the lads in Coppinger Row. Do you want to come for a pint? And he was like, you're Irish, you like pints. It was that kind of vibe. And I was like, oh, thank you very much, but actually I promised your tour manager I'd get the pictures to you guys ASAP, so I have to duck out of pints. And he was like, okay, cool. So I like went home, like drove myself home, was kicking myself, going, I should have been down for a pint.
Should have deranged when you were with them.
But I did the photographs and I sent them over, and then the manager looked at them at like 8 a.m. and they're like, okay, well, the band really like your pictures, but we really like your professionalism. So will you come and meet us in Wembley for 3 nights?
Sorry, fantastic.
Yeah, so I hopped on a little Ryanair plane with my backpack. I was like, okay, let's go. And I went and I did 3 shows in Wembley, and they were so tough. They were like, I'd been working for like Irish musicians and Irish festivals and everything, very Irish. And then when I get to that level, they are hardcore, like this needs to be perfect. And they were like so hard on me. Like even by night 2, I was like, oh, they're going to send me home. Like I was like, I was looking up flights because I was like, this is embarrassing. I'm not doing very well.
And can I ask, in what sense are they hard? As in they have a specific look they want, there's a vibe, like...
Yeah. They're like, give me at the end of each show, straight after, they're like, show me your top 10 photographs. So you're like, you go through all of them and you pick out your top 10. You're like, here you go. And they're like, no. And you're like, Oh my God. I was like, okay, here's 10 more. And they're like, So it's really hard. And I'd never had that level of tough criticism. And I'm so grateful for it, because then I kept trying to like better myself and do better and asking loads of questions like, well, what do you want? What do you need? And they're like, study our Instagram, study this. So it was really hard.
Yeah.
It's fine. And then, 3 nights in Wembley went by, and then they were going to mainland Europe, and I had the flight back to Dublin, and I kind of thought that was it. I said, well, you know what, I'll shoot my shot. And I was like, any chance you want a photographer for the European run? And they were like, sure. So I got out there, and then they were like, this is your bunk, that's your bed on the tour bus, have fun, and I just kind of figured out tour life. And I was quite old, because before that, it was very rare to bring a photographer on tour with you.
Yeah.
You'd use locals, that kind of, you didn't have the constant need for content 24/7. So you wouldn't normally bring a photographer. So it was just at the dawning of like, let's bring a photographer on tour. And
what happens on an Arcade Fire tour bus?
Well, there's different ones. So there was like, I think they had 5 or 6 or something buses. So
who were you with?
I was with video and I think lighting. So you get
Good
all,
crack,
like divvied up. So there's a family bus because they had their kid on the road with them and their nannies, and then there's a band bus, and then there's, it's kind of the same you do on every big international tour. You kind of divvy it up, Yeah, so it was
Rock and
wild.
roll.
When I came back from Arcade Fire, Hozier was looking for a photographer, and then my name got bandied around again, and they were like, cool.
Well, now, Hozier, a friend of the podcast, we accosted him one night.
Lovely.
And we were like, oh, perfect. We'll try and get this man to come on the podcast. And we gave him the pitch, but he was like, well, he didn't give a hard yes, but he didn't give a hard no either.
Sorry, he shocked us massively because first of all, he knew of the podcast, and
sure,
we were like,
everyone knows of you guys.
and he said, right, very humbly, because I feel Hozier is nothing if not the humble giant, isn't he? And he was like, oh no, my Irish wouldn't be good enough at all. I'd be too embarrassed. And we were like, Hozier, you'll be grand.
Yeah,
mind you.
You'll be all right.
He does a good lilt, like because he has lyrics in his latest album that is in Irish, and it's gorgeous.
Okay, well, you'll have to tell him now when you're talking to him next. You were on out, and we're waiting hard for we'll follow up with him. We'll
once he sees this now.
Yeah, there you go. Hozier, down the lens to you. We're looking at you, Cara.
Yeah.
Coming from the tough critics of Arcade Fire to going on the road with the lovely Hozier, who I can't imagine would like say boo to a fly. Has he been the most lovely friendship you've had in the last number of years?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, he is a gorgeous person to work with. Like, he absolutely is. And so I met him in 2019, you know what I mean? And then there was like lockdown, and then we've been on the road for 2.5 years for that stint. I did 2.5 years with him. So, you know, if you you compare all the bosses I've had, all the clients I've had in the past few years, Andrew is just the sweetest, loveliest person. He's the one that would probably he's the reason I made the Too Sweet video, the music video. And, you know, every day I do an edit and I'd go back to him and I'd be like, here, what do you think? You know, I'd never done a music video before at all. And I was really nervous about it. But he was like, it's amazing. It's great. Maybe just change this little thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, obviously I should change that thing. Thank you. You know, he was very considerate, very nice. And I think that's one of the things about him, is that he's so considerate of you as a person, as well as you as like, you know, as an employee, I suppose, for want of a better word. Do you know, he's always kind of looking after people around him, which is very sweet. And I don't know how he manages to maintain that, considering he's gotten to where he is and he's surrounded now by like so much noise, you know, because life would obviously just get very busy, but he's always maintained his quiet, level-headed soundness. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Isn't that a great way to be?
Yeah,
sound.
Totally sound. Like, he'd still be like carrying my bags into a venue, and I'm like, what are you doing? what are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely don't. I broke my leg there on the tour, like last July. I fell off the stage, kind of. I stepped down off the stage. We were in Billings, Montana, and like genuinely, he just like everyone sprung into action. I had to go to the hospital, get the boot on, and all that. But he was just like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, what are you sorry for? I was the one that fell off the stage. So it's just, that's nice. It's just, he's really, I'll never hear a bad word said about him. He's lovely.
Well, that's a great testament to him, because a lot of people lose their mind, don't they, when they like reach that level of fame. So that's a real well reared.
Yeah, I think he's better because he's Irish.
Yes.
We like to take him down a peg as well. So like if I was backstage, I was like, have you got notions? Was that something?
Oh yeah.
Notions?
Yeah.
Get that. Stop, will you?
Yeah.
He comes in walking down the corridor and something like wild, and I'm like,
Yeah. Ruth, I remember chatting to you a few years ago, and you told me a really beautiful story about your dad and the influence he has had on your life, and your.
I'm like, really?
It was a really nice story about your relationship together and your admiration for him.
Okay, cool.
Tell us about your dad. Yeah, you did.
I'll tell you about Mohammed Medjber. Lovely man. Guy came to Ireland in 1976 from Algeria, which is a place that nobody knew back then. It's probably only know now because of football. But yeah, between him and my mum, like, I've got them to credit for my work ethic, I think, because they're very, very hard workers, and they always brought us up. You know, they're both from working class backgrounds, large families, didn't have an awful lot. So we really, as a family, like, we worked hard, like, and I always saw my dad putting in the shifts. He came to Ireland as part of like an aircraft engineering apprenticeship or something. He's probably listening to this going, what? No. And came with a bunch of lads like in 1976, and there's pictures of them getting off the airplane, and they all have big fros and leather jackets and bell-bottom flares and stuff, and they're just the classiest people ever. But they would have been like the first brown people that, you know, Swords ever saw and everything. So he'd always tell you, Dad would tell me these stories of like, he used to get the same bus to work every day, and like this little old lady would get on the bus and sit behind him, and one day she tapped him on his shoulder. She's like, hello, and he's like, yep. He's like, I was telling the girls down the bingo about you. Okay. And it's just like a little bag and a scissors. Can I take a piece of your hair to show them?
You're joking.
So it was, you know, like, it was the 70s in Ireland. You know, he was an oddity.
Yeah.
Little bag.
Little bag, like
the gall.
The fucking neck on her, yeah. But how did he, by and large, how did he find Ireland at that time to move into and to be one of the first different, in inverted commas, you know?
I can't speak for my dad, but I can't, like, my dad doesn't really speak about it a lot
fair
either.
enough.
You know what I mean? He's like an Arab man, very closed book kind of.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think I think back then Ireland was an easier place to be different and to be a different race, because there was no fear of other people. There was not a lot of racism. You know what I mean? There was a curiosity, and there might have been like a touch of kind of fear or fear of something different, but it wasn't like it is now. Now it's nasty and organised, whereas back then it was little old ladies trying to take a snip of your hair. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, we always grew up, like my dad was always super sound, and I am quite fair skinned and always have been. My brother's a little bit darker than me, so he would have always, I remember, and his name like is more Arab sounding than mine, so he would have got more abuse on the gap pitch. Do you know? Like there would be matches called off because they were like really like kind of really mean to my brother and stuff, and my dad would always remain very cool, very level-headed about things. And my dad used to say to us when we were really young, like I remember there was a day we were watching Italian 90, like, do you know what I mean? Like, and
The glory days.
yeah, the glory. So I was like 4, and my dad was bringing me back from the pub, and there was a terrible incident where this woman was really nasty and racist, and then my dad just kind of picked me up and was just like, listen, I'm kind of trying to explain to a 4-year-old that woman doesn't have enough love in her life to give love, that we should actually feel sorry for her because she's scared, she's frightened, and she doesn't have anyone loving her, and that's why she's turning on you. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to pity that woman. Instead of being afraid of her, instead of being angry at her, I'm just going to pity that person. And I still do pity those people, because it must be a hard life being so bitter and horrible the whole time. But mum and dad are both sounders. I mean, like my ma fell in love with an Arab guy in like the 70s. So I was like, yeah, go on, Tina, that's great.
Go on. Your ma's
All the women in bingo so jealous of her.
Oh, so jealous of Tina Medjber. Like, I know. Yeah.
Is your mother a dub?
She is. She's from Merino.
Oh, there you go. I have a bit of Merino blood in me as well.
There you go. And we're all still in Merino. Like they're all there.
Oh, Merino's a great,
love it.
Dublin 3. But anyway, I must ask you about the Scéal Eile project, because I've been following it on Instagram.
Have you? Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah,
looks
it's killing me.
No, it looks really great.
Thanks.
It's very you know, the humanity in people can be very moving.
Well,
and
that's it. Like, I mean, this whole project, it's not really my project, it's 365 people's projects, because every day I'm telling a different story from of a different person, and they've all volunteered to share a story with me, which is great, and I'm so humbled and so honoured that they're letting me share their story. Like, and what I'm finding really surprising is the variety of people's stories. Do you know, we're getting, like, I thought maybe, we're 26 days into it now, I thought like, oh, maybe we're going to start repeating and stuff, but no, the stories people have are just so vast and so different. Everyone is so different, and like I'm purposely like trying to represent all demographics of people in Ireland in 2026, you know, so anyone in Ireland, anyone who calls Ireland home in 2026, so it's like a real census. So I'm using the statistics from the Central Statistics Office of like the population, how many Muslims, Catholics, you know, and I'm going to divide it up, how many people in Dublin versus how many people in Cork, and that's the percentage of people that I'll represent. All 32 counties will be represented, all inhabited islands, you know. And then I need to start bringing the Irish language into it, which I'm going to be woeful over. So I have to figure out a way of bringing that in so that Irish speakers are represented. So it's really just have a very extremely fair representation, a document or an archive of our time, and then just told through other people's stories and what they're experiencing, what they have experienced, what they hope for. Yeah.
What has taking photos of people taught you, like all of the people you photographed? What have you learned about people through the lens? Because I feel it's very different, isn't it, taking someone's photo?
Yeah.
'Cause you're looking at the person rather than, you know, listening to, it's a different sense, isn't it?
Absolutely. Like, I guess why I wanted to do this particular project, because there's an audio element into this as well, because it's a daily podcast we're releasing as well as a photograph, and the photograph is like, it's a really intimate thing that you're doing, you know, for someone, with someone, and they're putting a lot of trust in me so that I don't make them look shit, like, essentially. Do you know what I mean? It's a huge honour. But what I always found as a photographer, I've been doing this since I was about 16, and I've always loved portraiture because of that bond you get with someone. And if I have someone, whether it was like a job for Hot Press or a job for The Guardian, or someone came into my studio for a nice portrait, if I had them for an hour, I'd always end up chatting to them for about 40 minutes in advance, and then only do about 10-15 minutes of photographs and then finish your cup of tea. So there was always the kind of format. So I kind of reevaluated after the last couple of years on the road with Hozier. I thought about what I was missing, and I was missing that connection. I was missing sitting down with a different person every day and hearing stories, you know. So I wanted that to be the crux of this project, but I also wanted people want to tell you their stories, and that's huge. If you sit down with anyone, like sometimes in my studio there's been times where people have come in, and it's always been men, where they've sat down to me to take their headshot and they open up instantly, right? And I don't have anyone else in my portrait studio when I'm working with someone. It's just me and them. And these men would sit down and they'd start talking, and they'd talk, and it gets really emotional, and they start telling me all the things they wanted to tell anyone who'll listen. So we could be coming up to an hour and they're still talking, and we haven't taken a single picture, and now their eyes they're crying, they're bloodshot, and I'm like, darling, we can't take your picture today, you'll have to come back tomorrow. And they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, but I think that's a lovely thing that we're going to do this again tomorrow. Like,
isn't it? It's so funny about people who deal with the head, right? Because I know they often say that hairdressers, when they touch your head, it makes a person more vulnerable, and you're more likely to talk to a hairdresser about something you might never talk to someone, because of that physical hand on your head.
Absolutely.
Moment. I wonder if there's something. I would nearly be saying you'd be recoiling in front of a photographer, because you'd be like, oh Jesus.
Yeah, because they're looking at you. Do you know what I mean? And when do you really make eye contact with someone quietly for an hour? Like, it's, you know, if I'm looking at you there, and I'm just like, and if you're just sitting in front of me and it's just me and you, there's soft music, whatever, and I'm staring into your eyes and I'm trying to get a grip of who you are. Yeah. It's kind of powerful.
Yeah. What I'd be interested in, I find I do a lot of like long form interviews like that, where I really like sit down and get to know, you know, someone in there. It's incredibly emotionally taxing. Yeah. Like that's so draining, and it's a really
that's something I'm finding with this project as well. Yeah. Is that myself and my partner, who's the sound engineer on the project, so there'll be the two of us interviewing a person every day, and the stories are affecting us. Yeah. Unbelievably, that I'm like, I need to talk to someone about this as well, because you know, you can't help but feel for these people. Some of them are in really unfair situations, dire situations. You know, doesn't matter who they are, where they've come from, people will experience woeful stuff in their life, and this is normally what people want to talk to me about. So it's like, and I am not a professional therapist, nor am I a professional journalist or interviewer. I don't really have these skills, so I'm trying to teach myself how to be a good listener, as well as being there supportive and making sure I don't say anything that will cause them even more trauma down the line, do you know? So I'm learning. It's
just when you were talking, that's what I was getting. It's a transmission of energy, I suppose, and you're trying to capture that. And what have you picked up any little tips that you give yourself to try and get rid of all that? Or
not yet. I'm only on like day 26. So, and it's, you know, it's been a whirlwind as well, because not only am I trying to learn how to interview people and how not to take it all on board, I'm also learning how to email 365 people and set up 365 photo shoots. I'm like, I'm doing all the admin logistics of everything while still trying to walk the dog and feed ourselves and pay the bills and do my real job. And all of that on top is just day 26. And I'm like, I'm here, that's enough. So I'll address everything else maybe in February, but for now I'm just like coasting, kind of going, okay, okay.
Yeah, good for you. That's a lot
to completely pivot out of the deep end now, I'm going to ask a very vain question, Ruth.
Crack on.
How do I make myself look stunning in a picture?
Photoshop.
Come on, if I want to take a few pics for the gram now, a dummy's guide to taking a photo. Is there any hope for us?
Broad lighting. So broad lighting in your house, that means the window. Go up to the window, straight on. So broad lighting is one that covers everything and doesn't have. There's no light coming from here that gives you bags and shapes. There's no light coming from here that gives you this. You know, it'll give you any extra steps. So you want it all to come from the front, like a ring light. Sun is a ring light. You know what I mean? Everything light that fills in everything. If you haven't got like bright lighting, whatever. So say if you've just got a lamp that's there, get a big white piece of card or the back of a white cushion, and it'll be a reflector. So the light's going to come from this source. It's going to be really shadowy here, and then you bounce the light back in there. So these are all little things that you can do. You know what I mean? Or get your friend's torch and shine it here and have a light from there. So like, yeah, selfie lighting. Once you know your light, which I think a lot of people do these days. You know what I mean? Like we all know how to find our light. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. If you need to do it outdoors. Like, it's always the best way.
Outdoors is best.
Yeah. And a little bit of an angle. You don't really want to get, you know,
No,
straight
and there is no. I don't think there is a standard. Oh, we need to do this, because everyone's faces are so
Totally.
different.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like being photographed directly from the front. You know what I mean? Because I have a weird round face. Like, so I'm like, I need that from there. But like, I know other people that they just look weird from there, so you have to find your own angle. The best thing, when I used to do weddings, and I used to tell brides, like in our little pre-meeting kind of thing, I was like, I need you to go back over like your profile photos, your Facebook photos, or your Instagram feed where you've posted, because you've only posted the ones that you really like yourself in, and go back and analyze the pattern. It's like, I really liked it when I was this side and that way. You know what I mean? So you're just going to copy that. So when it comes to your wedding day, or when it comes to whatever, just go back into your thing, go back into your angle that you like. So always, so you have a pattern there already. We're all well used to having nice pictures taken.
And I think that we're all a little bit, isn't it funny how Instagram has made us so obsessed with this, and the way we probably, like as a human race, look at ourselves like that has never been done before. You know, we're flat out looking at ourselves, looking at others, looking at, it's a complete obsession, isn't it?
It's crazy.
It
It's narcissism, really.
It is.
I'd
And it
love
impacts
to get away
everything,
from it. Yeah, I'd love to.
Would you?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I don't think it's not
Healthy.
It's not healthy. No,
Yeah,
it's
not
weird.
healthy.
But there is like these 365 people though that are going to sit in front of me, like. Each and everyone I photograph is just like, I don't know what to do with my hands. You know what I mean? They're like, people are really anxious about having their photograph taken. Like it's across the board, no matter who you are. We are all just preconditioned nowadays to not like what we look like, and that's so sad. So I don't allow any negative chit chat in my studio about how you look, especially women. You know, if people are like, oh, I should have lost a few pounds, and I'm like, no, we're celebrating today. You look great. You look like today, and I'm going to do the work to make sure you look amazing. So
That's
we,
really nice.
we need to stop being down on ourselves.
Well, we can attest to how you make people feel very comfortable and deadly in front of the camera. So thank you very much.
I just put them in the jacks.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Into the
That's
toilet
it.
you go. Do you know what someone once told me about the hands? I think it was Shiva New York actually, who's our third that's not.
She's
Fantastic.
fantastic.
Now I tell you, a woman who knows her angles.
Oh yeah,
If
she's
ever
stunning.
there was a girl who could take a good photograph, in fairness, it's her special skill.
She said, hold a pee.
Hold a pee.
Right, you put your fingers like this, you hold a pee, and you put your hands in front
Now
of you.
this is very like, I'm a TV presenter now, is the
Hold a
one
pee.
thing.
If
Like, if you're
you're
trying to be
excessive.
an edgy, you know,
Come on, what do the edgy girls do? They're
what do the edgy girls? Should they be doing all this
Smoking
Gen Zer
fags.
stuff? But they're not going like this.
Hold
they're
a
probably
pee.
smoking fags or something.
Like hold a pee. That's weird.
pee.
I feel
But
like that's Kate Middleton
okay,
stuff.
like
Like,
you don't
Yeah,
need
I
to hold
think
a pee
it's-
like
no.
this, girls. Like hold a pee more relaxed. Like
Okay.
hold a loose pee.
Let's
Hold your
hear
pee
this,
like you
right.
need
Well,
to go
look,
to the
we've been
toilet.
practicing that.
I'm holding the pee. What next?
I love how I'm
practicing
giving
that.
tips. Yeah.
So come here, tell us, Ruth, how can people apply to take part in Scéal Eile?
I know it's a mouthful, isn't it? But I wanted to give it like a bilingual name, and that's the only
Gorgeous.
thing that worked with story in it. So it's
Yes.
like Scéal Eile, that's another story. I'm like, cool.
No, I love it.
Okay, good. I'm glad I got your approval because I need you guys. So yeah, I'm still looking for people. Okay, we've had a load of people apply to be in the project, which is fantastic, but this project is a logistical nightmare. Absolutely. Like, I need people from every corner, every type of person.
Okay.
So there's a form on my website, ruthlessimagery.com, or I put it up on my Insta bio, everything. You can find me Ruthless Imagery wherever you find people, and fill out the form. I ask some very basic questions just to get the measure of you. And but I'm looking for everybody. I have a load of musicians, not looking for musicians.
Right,
okay.
I have a lot of musicians and photographers. So.
Okay.
Are you looking for a few guys?
Yeah, absolutely, I am. Yeah, and I still have to. Maybe I'm going to bring in a guest interviewer to handle those conversations for me, because I just don't have it. Like, and I'd love it to be in Irish, but like, yeah.
Are you going to travel?
Yeah, we're getting in a camper van. So me and my
Fantastic.
fella and the dog are going to get in the camper van and we're going to just go because it can't be a bloody Dublin project, lads.
Yeah.
It has to
No,
be
boo.
all
We
Ireland.
might be able to hook
Yeah.
you up with some Gaeltacht people and
Yeah.
that'd be nice. To,
Oh, lovely.
You know, native speakers
Native
and get the last
speakers,
of that. And,
yeah. Oh yeah, it has to be represented. Like
Yeah.
So that's the plan. Just getting everyone involved. Like so, yeah.
Deadly.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we have a full year of this to be looking forward to, and
Yes.
and to be
I'll
following
come back
along.
in
It's
December and be
great.
like, oh my god, guys.
I know.
Yeah, I know. Dead.
Shell of yourself, but do you know what? You're doing great stuff. So,
Thank you.
Grafadóir, fair play.
Thank
Gurmina Mahagat
you.
Ruth.
Thanks so much.
Well, nach raibh sin go híomhann. In fairness to Ruth, she's an Aldote, isn't she?
Oh, she's cooler than cool.
Yeah.
See, it's the Dublin Three, and I love that. The Fairview Marino, Clontarf, Drumcondra. That is the holy.
There's
whatever
nothing holy
shape
about
that
it. Have you
is.
ever been to Limerick Tree?
No, but I just mean it's for where loads of really cool people.
Joe
come from.
Limerick is so cool. It doesn't even have numbers. We're just Limerick 1. We're just 061.
061. Oh yeah. Not
Like we don't even have like all this shit in Dublin. One, two,
we,
three,
you
four,
know,
five,
Grafor.
six,
So
seven,
this
eight.
is
No
hilarious.
need.
So Cardeling, Nino. Actually, no, I will say. So Billy McGlynn, previous guest of the podcast. So we met Rala, Billy Exmoor, and Harna Nullock. I was like, they have people stay over in the house a lot, or they had sexy Thaigs stay with them, and I was like, here, like, I was like, when are we going to be invited to stay in the house for a while? And they're like, sure, you can come whenever you want, but and then Billy was like, on one condition, Louise isn't allowed to talk about Limerick for the whole time, and I was like, well, forget about it then. And but you know, we won't be coming. Nibe Caddica.
I won't. And that's absolutely chronic coming from a Limerick man himself.
I know, but sure, look, shit. Orintha Louise tá sé umarcach, orintha tá rudí eiligar chording a flé.
I suppose there is, but listen, I wouldn't know about it. Now,
Go on, now, cad I will
gonna
glush
say
na
something.
seachtainna
Oh
gut.
yeah, I want to insert here, or this is one for you now. Insert over this frame the picture of us lads in the bathroom of the Cobblestone. I'm sorry, this is a picture that I feel hasn't gotten enough credit. Should we post it to our grid?
Okay, we can post it, green grid. Post, Jenny Day post
Do you
dog
not
green
think
grid.
that we looked good in it?
Yeah, it was. Picture Annie Asavian, yeah.
As if I remember correctly, I'm working off memory here. Shiva's straddling the sink. Darren is kind of taking up a doorway of a cubicle. And I'm in another one. Do you remember?
Yeah, no. Cap me
You're actually cool.
No, hand shit son and it's malum so just by and large like we were in jeans, we were in runners, so that's just more of a vibe. The Mission Church Anachadama Chahav Selehers the Cobblestone down through the years, you know.
So it must have been, was it healing or was it traumatizing?
Yeah,
to
no,
go
we
back
should
in?
ask. You know, I Carlum. I know someone who actually rode someone in the toilet in that toilet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which
There you
cubicle?
go.
The one I'm at the door over you.
Neil Iscombe. Yeah, no, Neil Iscombe. You're like shielding the gig there now.
Well, listen, if it was you, comment below and let us know.
Yeah, if it was
Would you recommend?
Yeah.
Glúis na seachtainna.
Glúis na
Darren.
seachtainna. Cad bhí going, well, ngrianghrafadóir stocha sin é chiad can.
Mhm.
Beidir Eva new pictúr. Is the picture. Ein cheanna gutsa.
Bay, tá sí scríbhan sa go orna, means an artist's muse apparently.
Yeah, so ma bay well obviously a ban alling bay and then on tagan sé an tanim bay vin or you know sorry tagan an tanim bay vin as ach sin focal I bhíocha sa Shanna so tá gailge ann agus an tá like an gailge litirthe nó tanga gur úsáidir ach go háirithe sa litríoch so like rudí I bhí sa Shanna ilíocht and all that crack. Anyway, bay about on bhe about badáling a hannig chunkin agus a bhí mar spraga gur annach chud dus na Philly.
Agus, do you know the way Gunnisáiden Dini like Bay, my Bay, B-A-E?
Oh, yeah.
And we'll like ain, I don't know, Chiangle.
Oh, Beidir meach sé mar an bay nua. What do you think?
Oh my
Bay?
God, Misha can Bay, B-E, fad
Lovely. Okay, well watch out, Declan. This is a nice
my Bay.
development for you.
Monachine, like Darren is here in her booth, the she is a model.
No.
And then Ilan, it's all about the owl.
Na
Ilan
Hillenacha,
Clark,
yeah.
Agus to pose all,
Yeah,
getting
na
that good
Hillenacha.
angle.
Well, sin tá sé sin. I mean, it's cared on Instagram pic nach a
Oh my
Mars
God.
Olding.
Yeah. I would say I haven't taken a selfie though and posted it. I think that day
Yeah.
is gone.
Siobhan Rudd, is it cringy now to post about stuff our Instagram? I shin cashed well be a dog walling, but I actually go man ick like rugging in him anish is like my like solve all of my sus pics and then Kermay like dump more, but
Yeah.
posting in real time new like a post all ruddy really parsonta. I'm like icked out by
I
it.
rocket to scale Pibli Joanna Coops,
No,
you know?
ní leanna mí,
So
no.
tá she there leanta Sira herself and Conor Murray faoi láthir right in the Maldives. Agus Gertie Suez jump Insta and she was like, why does it give me the ick to post to Instagram, to my grid?
Yeah.
And I was like, gas. I wonder, is that a general consensus?
I think it.
Yeah.
I think it is. But when I see people now that are posting stuff, and by the way, I used to do this all the time. But when people are posting like really personal things, I was like, it's way too much. Like, absolutely post it like a week later or a couple of days later. But I think it's really
like on Oit and Will to like tagging your
yeah,
location.
or like and like
Straight,
having the or just like, you know, things that are like very you just know that this is happening just for Instagram. Like, oh, get the Insta pics in. I'm like, oh, geek.
Conis,
Like, sorry, also give me a week and I'll be back.
no,
at
but
that
also
shite.
Taya Dangval in Lever Doll. I'd
Yeah.
love to know Instagram etiquette because I feel Labhraíonn sé agus do a doll niche, and I also feel like it changes. There's like waves of it, and is it like Rodagans? I don't know. How does it change? Who controls that?
The Gen Zers. The
Is
Gen
it?
Zers are so cool. The Gen Zers are into Jesus Christ now, and they love Jesus.
Yeah, but always not for the right reasons.
Oh,
There's
really?
a weird toxic masculinity thing going on.
Yeah, there
too.
is. Jesus. And your old pal Stephen Bartlett caught up in the whole lot of it. Yeah.
I know. Do you know I gave him up? years
Yeah,
ago.
fair enough.
I'm so
Years
gone
ago.
from him. I actually swear to God, I will actually say this now on record. The Diary of a CEO gave me the ick after a while because I found
Yeah.
it so preachy, and
I
I,
know,
was like,
Sinead Rudd,
"Give me
yeah.
a break."
100%. Give me a break.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be listening.
So I went back to Blind Boy.
Okay,
Up
Anna.
Limerick.
It's small. It's bralam sa tush macholagdi blind boy.
Yeah.
That she just ho meandry and like yeah. That she
But
really
like,
really
it's,
handle.
it's like two ends of the spectrum. You know, Stephen Barton, he's like probably science tells us, and then Blind Boy's like, do you know that when a sparrow shits on the street?
Oh, yeah,
Like, and you
yeah.
look into your reflection in a puddle, you're more Irish, you know. And I'm like,
Giving it.
yes, this is the science I believe.
Oh my god! So Yopna Shachtana is Stephen Bartlett. Come here, Yopna Shachtana.
La Féile Bride I Gildara. That has to be the biggest yup of all. Come and spend your Brigid's Day with us, bitches. Well, not your Brigid's Day. The bank holiday Monday, 2nd of February. Kildara.
Go back.
Hop Bride.
Up, yup, amakas.
Yup.
Okay, doke. Sinead Wenger. So, and Tachtan.
Slán.
Slán.